Do you boycott products whenever the products start getting into politics? Love to hear your thoughts. And one of the great things about hosting a radio show on terrestrial radio, where we broadcast in central Illinois on 92.7 FM, but also you got people online watching, either on the WMAY News Facebook, on the Bishop on Air Facebook, the Bishop on Air YouTube, even streaming on Twitter. You got a vast array of different voices, and the great thing about hosting a radio show is I get to tap in and talk with you at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Have you ever boycotted something because that product started getting all political? You see a lot of this, even here locally. I've had conversations with people years ago where they were upset at a local business owner because that business owner was actively opposing the idea of increasing the minimum wage in the state of Illinois. Or they opposed various types of regulations on businesses or increased costs on businesses. And people would say, well, I don't go to those restaurants anymore because that person has this particular point of view, regardless of how good the food is, regardless of how good the service is, regardless of how, the hospitality they may have. They'll boycott it because they don't like their politics, however that may be. But now we're seeing an interesting thing where you've got Anheuser-Busch losing substantial amounts of money because of a recent ad campaign that they hooked up with a transgender individual. Now, Dylan Mulvaney is this person's name, biological male, apparently is now a little over a year living as a woman. Some people say, hey, this is it's powerful. This person's being who they want to be. They're exuding that you can be who you want to be, and it's just spreading this message that you can do it. You can be your real self. Whether that's, a transgender person or a non-binary person, or if you want to be a cis person, whatever that is, okay, sure, you can be a cis person. Am I cis? I always have to, am I considered? I don't know. I don't have that lexicon. It's not part of me. I don't have pronouns. You call me whatever you want. All right. But you can call me now at 217-629-7970. But Dylan Mulvaney, who has lived for a year as a woman, recently got a Bud Light can with their face on it and said celebrating 365 days. Well, the stocks have essentially plummeted for Anheuser-Busch. Love to hear your thoughts. Do you boycott things? Because after this came out and Bud Light started, partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, a lot of people pushed back and said they don't want gender ideology. They don't want to support gender ideology with a corporation like Anheuser-Busch. So are you somebody that boycotts things? 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Listen, I used to drink Bud Light back in high school. Probably shouldn't admit that. Shouldn't be drinking in high school. Don't drink in high school, kids. It's bad for you, all right? Stunts a whole bunch of stuff, and let alone the problems it'll lead to later in life. It's probably best not to drink alcohol at all. But I'll admit, it was either Bud Light or Natty Light back in the early days. Nowadays, if I take a sip of that light beer, it's just, ugh. I'd rather, if I go out to a restaurant, give me Stella Artois, on draft if you got it. If I'm going on a bus trip, somebody asked if I drink Steel Reserve, I will grab 2 Steel Reserve tall boys. And they stay nice and cold, and if I'm going on a bus trip somewhere with a bunch of people, party bus, woo! Steel Reserve, buddy. I tell you what, I've been a fan of Steel Reserve for years. All right, let's get to your calls. Do you boycott stuff? Good morning, you're on WMAY.
Wow, yes, I do. And now that I know you endorse Steel Reserve, I may have to boycott you. But that's horrible. My God, my man.
It's good stuff. It's good. What are you talking about? Steel Reserve's fine. No. It's a malt liquor, and it's a little bit higher in the alcohol level, but it's got a good crisp taste.
It's horrible. But that's my taste buds versus yours. Yes, I do boycott. I haven't bought Nike products since Colin Kaepernick's days. So I quit buying Nike a long time ago, and I refuse to buy Nike products.
Well, then you're already boycotting Nike because Nike also hooked up with Dylan Mulvaney and gave this person born a man a sports bra.
Yes, and I feel that's insulting to women. And I was talking to, we were talking about it around Easter time when all my kids were over, and my daughter and my daughter-in-laws were over, and I was like, this is just wrong. I said, what is it saying about women if this guy's walking around in a sports bra? And they felt insulted by it. So,
well, and a lot of that is people who just from the outside looking in see this person born a male saying that they're now a woman is actually like a super hypercharged caricature of a woman. Like, everything's it's just really super over. Just I can see that being. I'm not a woman, but I can see that being offensive.
Did you ever see his introduction to the public on Price is Right?
No.
When he won on Price is Right? It was, oh, my God. Talk about over-the-top caricature. It is. Drew Carey, he just stood there. Oh, I mean, he's a comedian. He just stood there and kind of laughed. But this guy, oh, my God, he took over. You would have thought he was one of the show models.
Yeah. That's incredible. Well, and Dylan Mulvaney's also apparently, again, a person born a man, dressing as a woman, some say dressing as a young child, actually. Also getting tampons from a feminine hygiene product distributor, manufacturer. Okay, interesting. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, I got something for you. I seen a meme the other day about this, and a guy walks into the doctor and he says, "Hey, doctor, cut my finger off." And the doctor goes, "What are you, crazy?" And the next day, a guy walks in and says, "Hey, doc, can you cut my penis off?"
Just be careful. Cut your member off. I got it. Okay, just go ahead.
He's hailed a hero.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, my God, thank you for doing this for all the people." And like the last caller said, they are taken away from the women. I can't believe the women are not just absolutely outraged about this.
There are some traditional feminists are very upset by this entire movement, especially in the sports world, because listen, you've got men saying that they're women now. What about real women's rights? That's a question that a lot of people have. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Are you somebody who boycotts stuff?
I do boycott things, but I started before it was cool because all these people throwing up arms about how beer is transgender and everything like that, just drink hard liquor like a real adult and be done with it. And guess what? There won't be any more problems at all. People from our generation, Greg, that's exactly what we're doing.
Well, it also helps cut down the calories, quite frankly. You put a little bit of whiskey in some soda water, it's delicious, and you got a nice, refreshing drink that's not loaded with calories.
I am a complete cheap date when it comes to drinking. You just give me two, we're done, we're good to go.
Right on.
So, but to be honest, you said it best with two callers back. You're not a woman. You don't know what's going on. And guess what? Either is Dylan. He was born a man.
I guess you're right. He doesn't.
Not a woman.
Appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. Two-parter. First of all, InBev does own Natty Light and Stella. So if you were to boycott Bud Light,
don't tell me
you'd
that,
have to do
dude.
those two as well.
Don't tell me that.
And then also, I've got a legitimate.
Let me just real quick. For me, I'm not a big boycotter, right? If the product's good, I'm gonna use the product. That's where I come down to really. I've never seen something that rises to the level of me being a boycotter. So with that, I think I'm still gonna enjoy some Stella. So there's that. All right, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Well, good morning, Greg. I had a comment on the actor that's acting as a woman, Mel Davey, whatever his name is.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Basically, that's what. He is an actor that is using some actors. I saw this on the internet. They was talking about how he's basically, it's a technique of acting from the 30s where you actually become. Because he was upset because he couldn't get any parts acting in New York as a woman because he used male roles. And basically, that's what he is. It's kind of like he's instead of blackface, he's in woman face. And he's over what do you call it? Over exaggerated. Just for the.
Well, would you say he's drag? Because listen, he actually got like feminization facial surgery.
Oh yeah, well, it's part of in acting. When what's that fellow that did the Joker? I can't remember what it was. His name.
Joaquin Phoenix. Oh no, you're thinking of Heath Ledger. You're thinking of Heath Ledger.
Actually, Joaquin Phoenix. He had some mental issues because that's the technique in acting that he uses, where he actually personifies. He becomes the person almost. So it's all real.
I'll tell you, Joaquin Phoenix is a pretty incredible actor. Everything I see,
I'm
enamored.
But it's a technique that they're using. It's learned. They teach this technique, and this guy's taking it to the extreme.
So interesting perspective there. Appreciate the calls on this. Again, do you boycott or not? It's something that I guess it's an individual consumer choice as to whether people do boycott things. With Ambev apparently seeing a substantial drop in their overall stock price. Wow! If that chart is accurate, holy cow! I mean, it just plummets. Okay. All right. So, maybe we'll review this some more in the future, see if Ambev, Anheuser-Busch, bounces back and whether or not they'll make up the lost stock price that they just now experienced. 8:21, it is Springfield's Morning News on WDU.